Hi, welcome to this webinar on our Greenspace development, where we would like to share with you a case study of one of our Greenspace developments. So I'm going to introduce Sonia, our Community Engagement Manager, who's going to tell you about our Kashmir Park development. Over to you, Sonia.
Hi everybody, my name is Sonia Fires. I'm Community Engagement Manager for the JUMP programme, and I oversaw the delivery of the JUMP programme within the Scotchman Road neighbourhood a few years back. On the screen you'll see an aerial view of the actual neighbourhood, and as you can see it is a highly built up area with little to no green space. It is also surrounded by artillery roads or routes, which means that it's an extremely busy area with high levels of inequality and deprivation. On the top left, you'll see the green space that was identified by working in partnership with the Bradford Council. It is a site that was derelict for around 24 years, and the council on various occasions and attempts had tried to work with different funding bodies and different projects in Bradford to open up that site for more community use. When we went on site, that site was completely not accessible at all. It was surrounded by 6 feet fences and had lots of nettles on the inside, and there was a lot of fly tipping, rats, and lots of antisocial behaviour, specifically around the green space, and there was no community pride at all. In the process of working in collaboration with the council, we then set up the local JUMP action group, which was made up of local colleagues, which included the teams from the neighbourhood office, the local schools, the local community organisations, the local mosques and madrasas, West Yorkshire Police, as you can see in the pictures, and various other community champions. And in that process of engaging the community, oh, sorry, can't off track. Let me try again. In the process of setting up the JAG group, we were able to co-design a local action plan for that hyperlocal neighbourhood to look at ways that we can get the community, children and families active. The group actually agreed on taking the project forward to develop this green space, which is what was delivered and built at the end of the project. Through the community engagement process, we also engaged with the children from the local schools. So there was 4 schools in very close proximity in and around Scotchman Road area. And we worked with around 50 children. So in the top left, you'll see on the pictures, some of the children that were working with us to co-design the plans for the new space. In the process of the co-design, co-production workshops that we worked with the children over a period of 6 weeks, and we really honed down into what the barriers were to physical activity for them at that hyperlocal level. We also, in that process, started to think and work with them around what are the facilitators, what are the solutions, what can we do together to really build that motivation at a hyperlocal level to get them and their families active within the local neighbourhood and within this green space once it was built. In the co-design, co-production workshops, we co-designed 2 sets of designs with the children. So 50 children were involved with the co-design. And in front of you, you'll see some of the visuals that were created by our technical officer from the landscapes department, who worked with us closely in engaging with the children and really bringing to life their ideas of what the new play park could look like. Now, everything you see on the visuals is what the children asked for or wanted, and it's placed exactly where they wanted to place the play equipment. And option 2 was the favorite, which went on to be built once these designs were completed. Part of the voting process that we took, it wasn't just limited to the schools. We opened that up to the wider community. So we were outdoor knocking, we were engaging with the businesses, we were talking to families at the school gates, we were going into the mosques and madrasas. and over 2,500 people voted for option 2, which was the visual that then went on to be built on site. And in that visual, you'll see some of the children that were using our makeshift voting boxes to vote for their favourite designs. This is the final product. So this is what the park looks like today. Once we build a green space, we don't just exit the neighbourhood and expect people to access that. We know that we need a period of activation and engagement to really build on those behaviours to access a local green space. So we worked in partnership with a Bradford organisation called Play Bradford, who specialise in free flow play within local community and green space. And each week, our colleagues from Play Bradford would rock up in their van with lots of play equipment and would engage the community to encourage them to come on site and to play. We helped to promote those play sessions through all of the partnerships that we had through the Jump Action Group. So through the schools, the mosque and madrasas. We also did some door knocking. We were again in the businesses, in really visible within the community. And the idea was that we would encourage the sort of behavior change at grassroots level and start building that motivation, and obviously making the community also aware of the opportunity for them to be active in this brand new play space that we created. By also engaging with grassroots level community residents and members through that door knocking process, through that visibility within the community, we were able to really engage with the local residents. And we supported the creation of a Friends of group, which was made up of lots of parents and older generation from within the immediate houses around the site. And we see now, in terms of through that engagement, that community is taking ownership of this site. So every morning, these people will come out as a group. They'll do their daily walks around the site, but they'll also do a regular litter pickup, which means that it takes some of that pressure off the local services. And through that process, we've really seen that, that community pride has come through, that ownership is there, and that the community really do see it as their space that they look after now. Let's go back. Some of the challenges that we'd identified through the process of co-design, co-production was the community buy-in. So from years of this site being derelict and a lot of antisocial behaviour, that community pride wasn't there. There was some very tough conversations that we had within the community with local residents. Some of the tools that we used to engage with the community was, I did like the community litter picks, and the very first conversations we had were, we pay our council tax, why are you expecting us to clean the site? This isn't our job, we pay for a service and we expect a service. But when we broke down those conversations, and a lot of times I had to translate in Urdu Punjabi, so really sort of getting into a point where they're understanding why we're doing what we're doing. We actually found that through that process, we were able to change some of that mindset, so much so that the community from that point actually started taking the ownership of doing regular litter picks around the site, which then slowly created that community pride, that ownership, and that sort of excitement of this new play area that was being built on their doorstep. So the other challenges that we did face was the stakeholder support and the buy-in. Obviously, for 23, 24 years, this site had been derelict, and the community had heard time and time again around the fact that something was going to happen, that, funding is on its way, and then nothing would happen. So the community were very disheartened, and they were left at a point where they didn't trust or didn't believe anything that anybody would say to them. So for me to come in after so many years of other people trying and starting those conversations again, there was real challenges in those conversations, but putting my neck on the line, really building that engagement from that grassroots level, and really sort of making them aware that actually, we are really lucky to have this resource in Bradford through Sport England, and that we will be able to hopefully, get to a point where the park was built and open that up for more community use. And when it was built, some of the conversations we had with the community were just, you know, they were phenomenal, because we were being told that the space had changed people's lives, and the fact that they are now, you know, able to step out of their doorstep and have that doorstep play opportunities, and you know, play with their families and the children at whatever time of the day they want to access. That was very prevalent through those conversations. And what we did find was that this site wasn't just specifically being used or utilized by 5 to 14s. It turned out to be an intergenerational space that's been used by grandparents, by families, by children, by adolescents. So it was a real welcome change that that community wanted. And just lastly, some of the other policy and procedure challenges that we had. So, of course, the land ownership always stays with Bradford Council as a local council body. So by working in partnership with Landscapes Department, a lot of those hurdles were sort of overcome, and they took the responsibility to make sure that all the right documents were in place, and, you know, everything from a legal perspective was done. Some challenges did lie around maintenance, around, you know, long-term maintenance of the site. We did address that through some of the grassroots level engagement and creating those friends of groups, and the fact that we see the older generation now doing their regular pickups, but there's still some challenges around the regular kind of grass cutting and equipment repair and things like that. So just to bear that in mind in future and in other projects, that collaboration with the landowners is very important from the offset, so that all of this can be ironed out at that point. Now, because the site was co-designed with the community, and we've got that grassroots level buy-in, and we've got that real sort of empowerment that's been created through that process, this is actually one of the best kept sites that we have, and there's hardly been any damage to any of the equipment or any you know, any major damage in the park as such. So we're really lucky in that way, but it is important to still involve the council and the wider neighbourhood teams to support stuff if there is. And part of that process is to build the links between the community and the local service providers. So for us, having the West Yorkshire Police, having the Neighbourhood Youth Service, having the actual ward officers present in the engagement activities and events that we did, it really builds that confidence and that connection to wider service, so that once we do step back as a time limited project, that community is still engaged and empowered enough to be able to contact the right people if and as issues should arise. And that's it.
Thank you, Sonia. That was fantastic. So great to hear about this this journey. So thanks very much for sharing your learning on Kashmir Park.
Thank you.